As Larry Kudlow gives more crazy math, many are wondering why he is not on unemployment.
Shortly after this video was recorded, President Trump issued a series of tweets indicating that stimulus checks, hazard pay, rent assistance, and PPP, among other things, are coming out. First, he said, I directed Steve Mnuchin to get ready to send direct payments, $3,400 for families of 4 to all Americans. Democrats are holding it up. As to PPP, he said, I'm ready to have Treasury and SBA send out PPP money to small businesses impacted by China virus. Democrats are holding it up. As to hazard pay, he said, I'm ready to send more money to states and local governments to save jobs for police and firefighters, first responders, and teachers. Democrats are holding this up. Then he continued, I'm ready to send an additional $105 billion to states to open schools safely with additional PPE. Democrats are holding it up. As to rent assistance, I'm ready to send additional rent assistance payments to hardworking Americans that have been hurt by China virus. Democrats are holding this up.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is LALATE. Hope you're great and safe. This is afternoon's LALATE that starts every day at 3:30. Starts with a check, then goes to hazard pay, then unemployment benefits, FPUC, UI, and PUA, and finally rent assistance. Really surprising news this week in which Larry Kudlow, who many wonder why he has not been fired himself and on unemployment, came out and changed unemployment benefits, leaving so many so confused. But the great news overnight is that Steve Mnuchin has offered Nancy a olive branch to come back to the negotiation table. And apparently she's interested, but they can't agree upon something which is really not in the bill, a voters' rights initiative. More about that in a second. Let me get right to the details. FPUC, that's $600 from the government per week, that goes on top of UI benefits and PUA benefits, expired in late July for weeks that you work after July. But the great news that this channel detailed yesterday and the day before is that states are paying you that $600 a week for the weeks that you work from May to July if you set up your application correctly. Let me go over the details about that. I'm going to be going over also escalated benefits. I'll also be going over what type of hours you should, what type of FPUCs you should get from July going forward over the next 2-3 weeks, and where this deal will likely land at about $460 a week. This is a lot of information. Please hit that subscribe. Please hit that like button. Let's get this video a lot of likes. Let me get right to the details. First, FPUC may have expired for weeks now going forward, but states are, in most regards, still paying the $600 a week as required under the CARES Act, the first stimulus package, for the weeks you work from March all the way into July. Let me explain what's going on. I told you before that you need to get your UI, unemployment assistance, or PUA, which is for self-employed or independent contractors, application on file, and that if your date of impact dates backwards, let's say to March, for example, if you're impacted by COVID-19 in March, and that's your date of impact, put March, don't put today's date. The reason is why you lose all those weeks of benefits. Yes, you lose thousands of dollars. So viewers have now realized that that was the situation, have done the correct things, and have dropped in the comments to me as well. The great news is that viewers who may have had their applications pending, meaning not approved, their eligibility status pending but not approved, are now switched over to approved for incredible weeks of benefits from March all the way up to the present. And guess what? They're going to get thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Yes. Let me do the math with you. A viewer who got their application on file with unemployment assistance and had a date of impact from March all the way up to the present, but it was still pending, but then got approval that says, hi, you're now approved, would then do the following. And this is so important, so pull out a pen and paper. I'm going to go over it with you slowly. They would then go to the state unemployment's website and certify for benefits each respective week. starting the first week. The website sends you through the weeks progressively. You don't have to do it yourself. It's pretty simple. And we do first week, ask you questions. Second week, ask you questions. Every time you do a week, you need to ensure that you answer these 2 questions correctly. Would you have been willing, mental question, willing to work had you been offered a job? Yes. Would you have been able to work? Physical question, your body. Physically able to work had you been offered a job? Yes. You have to answer yes, yes. Otherwise, they're going to deny benefits that week. So you go through and it'll say, done, next week, done, next week, done, next week. And then you're done. It says you're certified all the way up to the present. What does that mean, LALATE? It means you did all your retroactive benefits. You've done all your benefits back. Your retro, meaning retro in the back time, Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox, back before we come back to the future. You've done all your retroactive benefits already, and you're up to date. What you should immediately do at that point, you should click that button in the tab that says payment status. Payment status lists what is going on for your individual weeks. So you'll look at March, and it'll say March pending, or week of March 14th, pending, and it'll have an amount next to it. That's great. It's great news because it says that you've done it correctly. All you have to do is just wait, and then that pending will switch to approved, and after it says switch to approved, you'll get your money within about 2-3 days after that. Great, great, great news. Now, here's the math. I don't mean Larry Kudlow math. I mean LALATE math. I mean purple shirt math. Here's the great math. In California, let me use it as an example. You start your benefits, whether it's UI or PUA, at base level benefits, which are about $167 per week. Got it? Federal government, $600 on top of that. That's called FPUC. That brings you to about 700 plus, I'll say 800, just make it easier number, $800 per week. Wow. So let's do the math. If you went through this process and now you've done all your certification of benefits for March, April, May, June, July, that's 5 weeks, 4 weeks in the month, 20 weeks, 20, times $800 a week, $16,000. $16,000. Why are we sitting back and talking about a $1,200 second stimulus check, making us nervous? If you worked in 2019 in any capacity, you qualify for unemployment benefits. If you worked as an employee or you worked as an independent contractor in 2019, go get some benefits if you're impacted by COVID-19. Ultimately, the people who don't really qualify for this are people who never have worked in the last couple of years. But for anyone who has worked and has been laid off, and I get all these comments from people, I was laid off, I have no money, I can't get this. Why aren't you going to get unemployment assistance? Why aren't you going to get PUA assistance? I was laid off, I haven't had a job in 4 months. Well, you had a job 4 months ago, why aren't you going to get unemployment assistance? Why aren't you getting a PUA? I gotta give you some tough love, and that's why my voice got a little tough there. I gotta give you tough love. And I did this tough love for my viewers who I adore completely. Back when this channel started, back in April, we were doing EIDL loans and grants, which at that time was not like now, but at that time was a very difficult process that wasn't moving quick enough. It was moving too slowly. People needed money. The pandemic had hit. And I asked them, well, wait a second, what's your situation? I'm like, you're an independent contractor. Why haven't you not gone out to get your PUA money? I never thought about that. Well, are you watching my other video? So there was wonderful viewers like Eileen out of Florida, who I'll never forget, who was waiting for EIDL loan to come in and wasn't processing, but Florida's unemployment assistance was not moving fast either. But she got it in there, and finally one morning she woke up $8,000. And then there was Aaron, my wonderful truck driver, whose story that I broke up down in tears, 1 month into this channel, where he had gotten nothing from this pandemic. He had put in for EIDL, he had put in for pandemic unemployment assistance because he's a truck driver. Nothing. One morning he said in his comments, he woke up and his wife delivered him a check from the mailbox. She said, honey, here's a check. It's $500. How wonderful this is. He looked at the check. He said, honey, it's not $500. It's $5,000. Unemployment in PUA is a lot of money. It's thousands and thousands of dollars. So I don't understand why people who have worked in any capacity not applied for it. I had comments in Morning to LALATE today, which were sort of surprising because a lot of people said, I don't own a business. This is not for me. You don't have to own a business to get unemployment assistance. You don't have to own a business to get PUA. It's not how it works. So please stay with me. If you're unclear, drop in the comments. I'll personally answer your questions and help you get the money. My job is to help you get the money. Now, what's going on with PUA going forward and UI? So Larry Kudlow on Tuesday or Wednesday this week said, "Hell, who cares about the $400 of the executive order per week? I'm changing. It's going to be $300 a week." Really, Larry? So viewers are asking me, how much money is FPUC going to pay for the weeks you worked in late July, now into August, and into September until we finally have a bill, whatever day it is. Maybe we have a bill next week. How much are they going to pay per week for FPUC? What do you think is going to happen in LA? My answer is always the same. I don't know, because ultimately a state may pay nothing. The federal government may do nothing. There may be a routing problem, but the most you can hope for is, according to Larry Kudlow, who changes with the wind, is $300 a week. I think somewhere in this video I said an hour, so if I did, I apologize. $300 a week, because that's where it is now. But where will this land? I have reported for now, I think it's 2.5 weeks, and I'll continue to report it, that Nancy and Steve are going to make a deal, and the deal is going to be $400, $600 a week FPUC all the way to December 31st. If not January 1st, which is sort of the same thing. And it's going to be a pure number. The federal government is going to pay the money. It's not going to be dependent upon the states. I've told you that before, and I'm not going to move, and I believe 100% of my prediction is going to be correct, because that was floated enough by the White House, floated by Steve Mnuchin. What I mean floated, I mean offered. And that's so close to what Nancy Pelosi wants. I don't think Nancy Pelosi is going to be able to go to the mat if she gets a $500 per week offer and she says $600 a week, says, I have no deal. I don't think it's going to work. Now I'm going to tell you why I don't think it's going to work. Economic data that came out minutes ago. The economic data is not working in Nancy Pelosi's favor and the Democrats' negotiations' favor, because it's happening exactly what I thought was going to happen. Republicans historically during these negotiations have taken economic data that's even lukewarm, decent data and said it's incredibly great data, and taken that data and thrown it back in Democrats' face and said, oh, we have no deal because the data shows we don't have to give this money. Let me give you the data right now, and I'll tell you if it's great, good, or not even worth a side of Kentucky Fried Chicken. First, jobless claims. Remember, every Thursday is the new jobless claims issued by the federal government. Came out for the first time under 1 million claims in 21 weeks since the pandemic started. This is the first break under the 1 million new jobless claims mark. It's good, but it's not great. It's just an improvement of 100,000 people. So yeah, it's improvement, but unemployment claims were about 200,000 per week, not 1 million when this pandemic hit. So it's not a great number, and ultimately the Republicans rely upon it. It's not really believable. It's not sustained growth. Next, what's very important to understand is that current data that is being released is July data. It's not August data. And July data has the benefit of the first stimulus package still rippling through the economy. That's not going to be the case for the August data, because the benefits have now no longer stimulated the economy. Retail sales up. Republicans are going to cite it. Retail sales up 1.2%. Democrats may say, well, Wall Street was expecting 2.3%. That's only up 0.5% of what they wanted. But it's the third straight month of increases in retail spending. Republicans are going to sign it. I tell you right now. So Nancy can't hold off on the $600 a week if she gets a deal, $500 a week pure to December 31st. I think she's going to get it, and I think she has to take it. I don't think it's going to work. There's enough reports that it just doesn't look good for Nancy to hold off. And I don't know when I'm signing economists, if these are economists or Republicans or Democrats. I'm just reading you their reports. Citigroup economist Andrew Hollister said, similar to the jobs reports, retail sales stand in a stark contrast to the idea that growth in July stalled. Basically, he's saying the economy is not stalled. The economy is moving. It's moving upwards, improving. When, in fact, it continued at a robust, if somewhat slower pace. Okay, robust is not a great word for Nancy Pelosi. You can't be hitting the floor and saying, give me big stimulus. The Republicans have an economist from Citigroup saying there's something robust happening in the economy. I know what the comments are going to be, and I'm forewarning them right now, pre-warning them. If you drop in the comments, it's hurting, I'm out of work, I have no money, I can't pay rent and electricity, I got it. I'm just reporting what economists are going to do. They're going to give you these statements, and Steve Mnuchin and Mark Meadows are going to throw it back in Nancy Pelosi's face and say, no deal, because I got all this great economic data as a negotiating point. Chief economist at MUFG Union Bank, another bank, Chris Rupley, there can't still be a recession in this economy if the consumer spending is spending their hearts out like this. I gotta say, no one is spending their hearts out at a rate of a 1.2% increase. I mean, that's like a guy that goes back to his buddies in the locker room and says, "Oh my God, the day was incredible." And she goes back to her girlfriends in the locker room and says, "I ended the date after 4 seconds." It's just like, yeah, this is not, America's not spending their heart out, Mr. Union Bank man. But I'm just telling you, Mnuchin's going to rely upon this data. But then there is the professor, not the one from Gilligan's Island, but the real professor, Edward Zick, a professor at University of Chicago Booth School of Business, who says if this continues, there's going to be a lapse into September. I would expect defaults, business closures, and perhaps personal bankruptcies to start to pick up with now no stimulus package. That's Nancy's quote. You know Nancy's going to use that. Ultimately, what's going to happen, you're going to see this deal, and you're going to see this deal at some point, and it's going to be $460 a week. The problem is what's going to happen with these messy weeks from July to the deal. I don't know. So if your state, paid you the $600 a week up to July and is not paying anything now, that's the easier situation. But if your state starts paying you the Larry Kudlow money, which I guess I'm going to call it, the Larry Kudlow $300 for a few weeks, and then Steve and Nancy change it to $500 retroactive, what are they going to do? Send you $200? It's going to be a hot mess. The Hot Mess Express is roaring on all engines, and I'm here, you're here, and coming up next is another video on rent assistance. Go to the front of this channel, hit that subscribe and like button. Our goal last Monday was to reach 200,000 subscribers in 2 weeks. Well, it's not even Friday. It's not even been 5 days. And we're only like, what? We're at just a 183? We're only like, 10, 11,000 away, which is just insane. More importantly, what's important is that these people are going to reach a deal. And when they reach the deal, when they come back in the room, when they're flying on the plane, when they're getting into the conference room, when she's braiding his hair, I will update you. I will update you by the minute and the second. They are not gone forever. They're not gone on a permanent recess. That's all fake news. I'm tired of dispelling it, but it's fake news. There's no vote to September, also fake news. Stay with me. I'm here to help you. You're going to get through it. As always, stay informed, stay motivated, stay inspired, and stay of LA for more.